Hello, Pilates people. So for today, I've just organised a little chair-based class for you here. This is based around some ankle, knee and hip mobility work. We'll also be strengthening hip flexors, glutes, hamstrings and quads, calves and the space of the ankle joint here around the Achilles tendon. So there's a lot of leg work involved today, as well as some abdominal work and maybe a little bit of upper body. So if you'd like to utilise a chi ball and you've got one close at hand, I'll give you some options as we go. Let's try and get through this workout, keeping the pace throughout. So we're going to start with a chair pressed against something pretty sturdy. I don't want this chair to move around too much, so set it on an even surface, pushed against the wall or a couch as I've done here. So as you push against this, it's not going to slide away from you. Start facing your chair here, placing the feet at hip width, floating the sternum and relaxing the shoulders. You can press your hands lightly onto the back of your chair. Try and keep this upright posture and switch on the T-zone. We're simply going to pedal the feet for a little bit of ankle mobility first. Lift up onto the ball of one foot here, lifting high up through the arch of the foot. We're going to transfer the weight across here as we push the knee towards the back of the chair. We're going to pedal across the feet, lifting up high onto the ball of the foot here and lifting through the arch. I want you to find a little bit of a wave pattern here. So simply lifting off the heel is fine if you're working with limited range of motion, or we're going to lift and roll through the arch of the foot high onto the ball. Notice that my knees are pressing forwards here and I'm bending into one knee as I lift up onto the ball of one foot. Do a couple pedals here, and once we start to feel a little bit more looser through the knee, the ankle and the hip joint, and we're feeling some strength work going through the ankle and the calf, we're going to change the workload. We're going to come into double calf raise now. So lift up high onto the ball of the foot, lifting through the arch, and then inhale to lower. I want you to find the lift on the exhale, keeping the knees and ankles pointing forwards, keeping that inside sole line behind the big toe connected to the ground. Watch for any rolling or turning out through the ankle, which also directs the knee outwards. If you can do this without the use of a chair, you can simply lift onto your calf raise here on an exhale and then inhale to lower. If that's good, take the chair away. Simply do this work without. You can add in some nice arm prep arms here, floating arms to chest height on the exhale and inhaling to lower, or going higher if you'd like a little bit more of a challenge. So we're just going to do a couple of calf raises here, and then we're going to come back to facing the chair. One more for me. Exhale and inhale to lower. Beautiful. Come back to the chair. Let's add on. Stick with that if you need to, or coming into a little bit of tendon stretch next. So we're going to lift up on the exhale using T-zone, lift through the arch of the foot onto the ball here. Now I want you to bend your knees. As we press the knees forwards, bending here, I'm lowering the tailbone but keeping the back in neutral. Pressing down through the heels, I'm lowering. Once more, straighten the knee for me. Exhale, come into a calf raise, lifting onto the ball of the foot, bending the knee forwards as I drop the tailbone here. Inhale, press the heels down and straighten the leg. Exhale for a calf raise, bend the knees, shooting the tailbone back and down, pressing the heels down, inhale to lift. Exhale, calf raise, sink in through your tailbone, lift it high through the ball of the foot and lower. If you find that this tendon stretch is a little bit too much work on the bottom of the foot, come back to calf raises, come back to pedaling the feet if you need to. I'm going to do one more of these. So I'm going to lift into my calf raise, bend my knee, pushing my tailbone back and down, keeping the calf raise element, press the heels down and lift. Beautiful. Now let's try and reverse it. From here, I'm going to come into a little squat. So I'm going to bend my knees here. Knees are shooting forwards, tailbone has lowered. I'm going to lift high up onto the ball of the foot here and then press up into a calf raise and lower those heels. Come into a squat, direct the tailbone back and down, use the chair for assistance if you need. I'm going to lift onto the ball of my foot into a little calf raise, shoot the heels high, try and lift through the crown of the head and then lower. We're going to bend into a squat. Come up onto the ball of the foot, push against the ground to lift in calf raise and lower. Let's do two more. Bend into a squat, lift off your heels, exhale to shoot high and lower. One more for me, a squat, a lift of the heel, and then a press against the ground to lift and then lower. Beautiful. You should be feeling a little bit warmer now through the feet and the calf. Wonderful. Let's do a little bit more work now through your glute and hamstring connection. Let's do horse kick. So I'm going to take a small step away from the back of the chair here. I'm still utilizing pressing the hands into the chair back, shoulders away from the earlobes. I'm going to do a little hip hinge. So I want to direct the tailbone down and back here, keeping the spine in neutral. I'm going to lift off of one foot for me, and you can keep a soft bend in that stability leg if you need to. So coming into a nice horse kick, we want to switch back onto T-zone. I'm going to push the heel back on the exhale, squeezing my glute max to lengthen my leg. Here I've got hip extension, hips are facing forwards, directing over my knees. As I squeeze my glute, I can lift away with my foot from the mat. I'm going to inhale, bring the knee towards the back of the chair. Try and keep your spine neutral for me. Push the heel back, exhale, squeeze the glute max. Inhale, draw the knee towards the back of the chair. Squeeze the glute, exhale, push the heel back and lengthen the leg. Hips are staying forwards. Inhale and exhale. If you've got a band, you could loop it around one of your chair legs. And as you press your hands into the back of the chair, you could loop your foot through the band and work this exercise with some more resistance. If you do want to make it more challenging, take a deeper step back from the chair, take a deeper incline through your hip hinge, and you can work through a deeper range of motion here too. Try and keep the back stable. As you push the heel back, we're connecting to glute max, extending the leg and sweeping the heel beyond the hip bone to get some hamstring work too. Let's make this our last one here, and then we'll change sides. Come back, settle your feet down, add a soft bend through your supporting knee. Come into your hip hinge, switching on your T-zone. Lift your foot from the mat, push the heel back first, and as you squeeze the glute, start to straighten the leg and press the heel bone back. Keep your hips facing the chair back. Inhale, knee comes towards you. Exhale, push the heel back, squeeze your glute max. Remember that you're trying to keep your shoulder blades away from the earlobes, the upper back flat, and this connection is majority felt across the back of the pelvis. So we've got our glutes and our hamstrings working. If you want more, remember, take a deeper step back from the chair. Take a deeper hip hinge, keep the shoulder blades down and work through a different range of motion, hopefully without kicking your fireplace. Good. Let's do 3, 2, and give me one more. Beautiful. Place your feet back on the mat. Have a little break if you need. Now I'm going to go into a round back posture to stretch out the upper back. In order to do this, I need to find that nice hip flexion or hip hinge once more. I'm going to place my hands on the back of the chair. Walk my feet back. Now you may need to modify how far you take the feet back in this position. Notice that my feet are behind my hips and my chest here. As I switch on to T-zone, keeping the shoulder blades from the earlobes, I'm going to start to push the tailbone back. Notice that my hips are now aligned over my ankles, and as I lower my head, I'm starting to flatten out the spine and come into a deep hip hinge. If you need to, you can always walk your feet further back to make sure that you are getting a nice strong angle of hip flexion, 90 degrees. So you notice this angle from my hip to my knee, and my chest is 90 here. I'm pushing into the back of the chair. Now you can let your head softly sink between your arms, and that might give you a nice stretch across the upper back and shoulders. You're going to go into a spinal wave for a round back. So tuck your chin, take a deep breath in, looking down. I'm going to scoop the belly, exhale, round the upper back towards the ceiling by tucking the tailbone under. I'm pushing my hands into the back of the chair, and as I round the back, I start to lift the chin. As I come into an incline from ankle, hip, and shoulder, I'm now in a little bit of a calf stretch here, or what we call an up dog. Good. From this position, take a deep breath in, exhale, scoop the belly, push the tailbone back and down. Lower into your hip hinge once more. You can keep partially bent knees if you need to limit tension on your hamstrings. You can allow your head to softly drape between the arms to get a nice shoulder and upper back stretch. Take a deep breath in. Tuck your chin, make sure you're looking down. Scoop your belly, exhale, round your upper back to the ceiling. Rolling up into that nice upper round back stretch, dropping the tailbone under. And as I start to push into the back of the chair, I lift the chin and align my shoulder, my hip, and my knee into that incline. Watch out for saggy lumbar spine here. Try and keep that nice connection through the front of your obliques. Ribs are drawing to hips. Take a deep breath in, exhale, tuck back into your hip hinge. Send your tailbone back and down. Take a deep breath in, tucking the chin. Exhale, scoop the belly round the upper back to the ceiling. Press into the back of your chair, come into that spinal roll. And as we lift the chin, we're sinking the ribs to the hips, pushing down through the back of the Achilles tendon and your heel here. Take a breath in, exhale, push the tailbone back and down, scoop the belly. Let's do one more. Take a deep breath in, tucking the chin. Exhale, round the back to the ceiling, pushing into the back of the chair here, scooping the belly. As we lift the chin, we're hoping to come into that little incline, enough to give you a little calf stretch. Beautiful. Take a deep breath in and then exhale, bend your knees and walk your feet back towards your chair back. Take a little break. Good. Coming side on now, we're going to use the chair as a little bit of balance. If you don't need the chair for this, you can do without. Fine. Just let go of the chair. I'm going to use it as a little balance aid today. I'm coming into a single leg balance, so I want you to watch out for loading across the pelvis. You'll notice that I've got my shoulder, my hip and my ankle aligned like a really strong column of strength. I'm using the same arm as my stability leg, pressing into the chair today. Take a deep breath in for me, lift the sternum, relax the shoulders. Let's do some simple foot lifts. From this position, I've already lifted onto the ball of one foot. This helps me weight load, pushing down into my stability leg into the ground. As I switch on the T-zone, exhale, start to lift your foot from the mat, bringing your knee roughly to hip height. Inhale, tap that toe down. Exhale to use the abdominals to lift the weight of the leg. Inhale to tap. Keeping your belt and shoulders level here. Keep that float of the sternum engaged. You can use your hand pressing into the back of your chair if you need, or if you can do without, your hands could rest on your hip bones or against your shoulders today and help you keep your balance. Now, if this is easy for you, you want something more challenging. Exhale to lift the foot and extend. Shoot from hip to toe, lengthening the leg. Bend the knee and inhale, tap down. We're going to exhale to lift, adding in an extension of the leg. Inhale, tap that toe down. If you want, add this in, a little lift and extend. Let's do a couple more of these. Beautiful, good. One more, we're going to lift, extend, bend and tap. Stay on this one side, come back to your left foot. Now I'm going to shoot the leg out to the side of the mat. I'm lengthening the leg away from the pelvis, so I need to make sure I keep this alignment, shoulder, hip, ankle. Bend the knee. You can float your knee back into hip height or skin your toes on the ground. Exhale to lift, shoot the leg out to the side for a little side lunge. Drag your toes in or inhale, float your knee to hip height. Exhale, extension. Inhale, drag or float. Good, exhale. And inhale. Try to limit pressure into the chair if you want to gradually take your hand away. If you need the chair, just press into the back of the chair with the palm and keep this one stable leg working really hard. Let's do one more. Beautiful. Come back to your toes resting on the mat. Keep the heel lifted, just so you're still partially weight bearing on one leg. Pause there. Sorry. Somebody didn't turn off their phone. Beautiful. Let's do a little bit of hip circle for some hip mobility. We're still on one standing, one leg. We're going to exhale to T-zone and lift the foot from the mat once more. Now, I want you to turn your knee out to the side, but keep your hips facing forwards. This may not be a big range of motion. Good. From this point, we're going to push the heel back and start to come back to our hip extension that we had in horse kick. Bring your knee back to hip height. Turn your knee out to the side. We're going to rotate the leg back and push the heel back. Come back to hip height. Good. Push the knee out to the side for a little hip circle. You can start to turn the knee down towards the ground, and as we circle the heel back, squeeze your glute. Exhale, take the leg out to the side, turn the knee in and down, press the heel back, inhale, squeeze your buttocks. You can do these little hip circles if you'd like here. Let's do just one or two more. Beautiful, one more for me. Now I'm going to reverse this motion, pushing the heel back for my nice horse kick, squeezing my glute max. Hips are forwards. I'm going to turn my knee out to the side and bring my knee in line with my hip, and then draw the knee back in line with the hip bone. Push the heel back, exhale for a nice horse kick. Turn the knee out to the side. Inhale, bring the knee in line with your pelvis, and then come back to hip height. Push the heel back, exhale, squeezing the glute. Circle and come back to hip height. You can make this more fluid if you feel like you can manage it. You can work at a lower range with the leg closer to the mat if you need, or just come back to some lift foot if you'd like. I'm going to do one more. Beautiful. Place the foot down, have a little break. I'm going to take it into the other side next, so I need to shift my chair across. Once again, place your hand on the back of the chair. I'm coming into my hip width stance and lifting off of the heel of one foot. I want to make sure I align my shoulder, my hip bone and my ankle. Switching on to T-zone, let's do some lift foot first. Exhale to use the abdominals to lift the knee roughly to hip height. Inhale to tap. Press this hand into the chair if you'd like. Keep the sternum floating. We're using the belly. Exhale to lift the weight of the leg and inhale to tap. Stick with this level if you'd like, or I'm going to take it into my lift and extend. Bending and tapping down, keeping the shoulders and the belt level throughout. So we're trying to keep the torso non-moving and this strong pillar of strength from shoulder to ankle, working really hard to keep you lifted upright. Good. Push down to your stability leg. Use your abdominals. Let's do one or two more. Exhale to lift foot, maybe an extension. Tap down. One more. Exhale to lift. Extend if you'd like. Bend and tap. Stay lifted onto the ball of your foot here. Let's come back to your lift foot on the exhale using the abdominals. Shoot the leg out to the side. Try and keep your standing posture. Drag your toes along the ground or float your knee back to hip height. Inhale. We're going to exhale, push the heel out to the side, trying to keep yourself aligned. So if you have to push your hip into the side of the chair, look how misaligned I am here. You could drag your toes along the ground or float your knee back to hip height. As you extend the leg out to the side, you could tap it to the ground. Exhale and then inhale. Do a couple more of these for me, trying to make sure we keep the body upright, pushing into my one stability leg here, keeping the inside and outside sole line connected to the mat. Last one, a little extension out to the side, a drag or a float back to hip height pause. Let's do some hip circles. I'm going to turn the knee out to the side here, keeping the pelvis square and facing forwards. Push your heel back, squeeze your glute max, hips are facing forwards for me. Get that nice horse kick. We're going to bring the knee back to hip height. Push the knee out to the side on the exhale. As you squeeze your buttocks, drive your heel back, come into your horse kick. If you'd like to make it more fluid, bring the knee back to hip height. Exhale, push the knee out to the side. Start to turn your knee in and down and push your heel back, squeezing your buttocks. We can utilize that kneecap, moving into more of a circular motion to make it more fluid, to get some more hip mobility going. Or if that's too much for you or you find that you're getting any kind of discomfort in the hip joint, come back to lift foot for me. I'm going to do one more. Push the knee out to the side, pelvis stays square. Exhale, turn the knee in and down and squeeze the glute to push the heel back. Come back to hip height. Let's reverse. Push the heel back, exhale, horse kick. Turn the knee out to the side, bring the knee in line with your pelvis, and then bring your knee back to hip height. Good. Squeeze the glute, exhale, push the heel back. Circle the knee out to the side, inhale back to hip height. Squeeze the buttocks, exhale, inhale, come back to hip height. Now, if you need to, work out a smaller range of motion, work closer to the ground and make your circle lower. If you find that this is too much for you, it's causing too much discomfort or some irregular sensation in your pelvis, come back to your horse kick, your lift foot, or any of the familiar exercises. I'm going to do one more. Push the heel back, exhale, inhale. Place that foot down, have a little break. Well done. Let's change positioning. I'm going to bring my chair now to face outwards. The back of the chair is pressed against something very secure. I'm going to lay myself down. Now, if you do have a ball, you might like to use it in this section. Come to lay on your back for me, facing your chair edge. Now, this exercise is all geared towards pelvic mobility and glute and hamstring work. So I'm going to place my heels on the seat of the chair. As I place my heels on the seat of the chair, my feet are back at hip width. Notice that I've got a nice 90-degree angle from my ankle, my knee, and my hip. If your bum's too close to the chair, it will be too narrow for you to get a good connection through hamstrings, and you might strain. So make sure you're able to align yourself in this 90-degree angle. If you do have your ball, you can utilize and squeeze it between your VMO. That might give you an extra inner thigh sensation. If you'd like, that's something you can adopt. Now we're simply going to do some heel digs to start. Your spine is in neutral, your shoulders are relaxed. You're going to switch back onto T-zone for me. Once you've got that internal abdominal connection, take a deep breath in. On the exhale, press the heels down into the chair leg. Feel behind your thigh, your hamstring connection switching on from the base of the pelvis to the knee where it inserts. Take a breath and let it switch off. Do that again. Press the heel down, exhale. Imagine that you're pushing into your chair and dragging the chair seat back towards you. Get that hamstring activation and then inhale, soften. Do a few more. Exhale, push down into the chair, drag the heel back towards you. Get that hamstring work going. Good. One more for me. Press down. Exhale, pull that chair towards you using that heel strength. Lovely. Inhale, soften. Let's add on next. We're going to press down into the heel of the chair here as we exhale, and also think about dragging the heel back towards us to get that hamstring work going. Then as we continue to exhale, we're going to tuck the hip bones back towards the rib cage, pressing the lumbar spine towards the mat. Take a breath in, release the pelvis, release the lumbar spine, and let go of that hamstring connection. Let's do that again. Exhale, push down through the heel and drag back towards you. Tuck the hip bones back, bring the lumbar spine towards the mat. Good. Inhale, release the pelvis and lumbar spine, release the hamstring. Two more. Press down, exhale, drag back towards you. Tuck the hip bones back. Exhale, come into your prep for pelvic curl. Inhale to release and let it go. One more. Now, as you do this next one, I'm going to add on. Push down through the heels and drag back towards you. Exhale. Tuck the hip bones back, bringing the lumbar spine towards the mat. Notice that you're in your preparation for your pelvic curl. I'm going to keep driving the heels down here. Hands are resting by sides. I'm going to squeeze my buttocks, push into my heel connection, and exhale, lift my pelvis free from the mat. I'm lifting the vertebrae off, and I'm resting on my shoulders. Now, this is a deeper incline than normal since the heels are raised. Take a deep breath in here with the ribs in. Sorry, I got hiccups. Exhale, keep pressing into the heel of the chair here, as well as squeezing the glutes, and slowly lower back down. Lumbar spine rolls back to the mat, pelvis down. Inhale, release the spine to neutral, release that hamstring work. Let's do that again. Press down through the heels, exhale, drag the heel back towards you. Tuck the hip bones back, bring the lumbar spine to the mat, exhale. Squeeze your buttocks, start to lift off, and as we press through that heel into the seat, we're squeezing the bum to lift the hips high. Ribs are in, glutes are on, hips are lifted. Inhale here and then exhale, slowly sink back down. Think about your normal pelvic curl here. Release each vertebrae back down to your mat, including the lumbar spine, and then release the pelvis. Float back to neutral, inhale, release that hamstring work. Let's do two more. Dig down, tuck the hips back, exhale, draw back through those heels. Imagine you're trying to drag the chair towards your tailbone. Squeeze your buttocks, exhale to lift on off, pressing into the heels here. At the top, inhale, ribs are in, glutes are on, you're lifted. Exhale, melt the vertebrae back down, upper back, mid back, lumbar spine coming to the mat as the pelvis follows. Inhale, release the spine, release that glute and hamstring, last one. Exhale, push down, drag back towards you, tuck the hip bones back here, lumbar spine to the mat. Exhale, squeeze the glutes and lift off. As we come to the top of this pelvic curl, pause. Take a deep breath in. If you'd like, and you've got the ball in place, you could do some lovely squeezes into the ball. 10 pulses, 10 exhales. Or you could press into the heel of one foot, squeezing the buttocks on one side. Lift one foot free from your chair edge. Take a deep breath in and exhale, sink back down. Loading through one leg and one hamstring. We're going to replace the heel and do one more on the other side. If you've done your pulses with the ball, roll back down, reset to neutral at the bottom, one more to go. On an exhale, dig those heels into the mat, tuck the hip bones back, lumbar spine to the mat. Squeeze the glutes, exhale to lift the pelvis, lift the lumbar spine, the mid back from your mat. Take a deep breath in, ribs are in, glutes are on. I'm pushing into one heel here, squeezing my buttocks to lift one foot free from the mat. Take a deep breath in, come back to pelvic curl, exhale, roll down. Keep that pressing into that single leg now. We're doing single leg loading. Roll back down to the mat and then release. If you'd like to do that again, just pause me and do a couple more of those. That's a really good single leg unilateral work going there for that hamstring strength. We're going to leave it for there for now, because otherwise this video will be 2 hours long. Take a deep breath in for me. I'm going to slowly roll onto my side to release myself from my chair and push myself on up. Beautiful. Let's come into seated to do a little bit in seated before we finish. I'm going to bring my chair to face you now. Take a lovely seat on the edge of your chair. I'm not going to use the back of the chair rest at all for support. So I want you to see if you can utilize the strength of those postural muscles to keep you lifted rather than sinking back, rounding into your chair back. So bring yourself to sit on the very base of your sit bones at the base of the pelvis. Try and keep the feet flat. If you need to pop something underneath those feet, do so here. I'm 5'1" and sometimes my feet don't reach the floor. Try and lift through the sternum and relax the shoulders. I want rib cage over hips. The spine is neutral, but you're floating and engaging through the upper back. Take a deep breath in for me. Start to lift the pelvic floor here and then exhale to T-zone. Good, take a deep breath in. Let's do some lateral flexion. Place your hands either side of your thighs or your chair leg. On the exhale, start to slide down one side of your chair leg here as the fingers lift and tickle the ribs on one side. We're stretching rib to hip here, and then inhale, come back to center, rib cage over hips. Exhale to reach down and slide down the side of one chair leg. Opening up the ribs, tickle, tickle, and then inhale to center. You can make it larger, slide down on the exhale. You could release the fingers and reach overhead. Look down your chair leg here so you get a deeper stretch running along the side of that neck also. And then inhale, replace the hand. Slide down on the exhale, tickle, tickle the ribs. Reach up and over and look down. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, come back to center. One more each side. Exhale for lateral flexion. Reach up and over here. Inhale to center. Exhale, lateral flexion. Reach up and over if you'd like. Look down. Take a deep breath in and come back to center. Beautiful pause here. Lift the spine upright. Bring your hands into stop sign position, elbows bent, shoulders relaxed. Keep T-zone working or switch back on your connection. Take a deep breath in. I'm going to turn to the side to show you our little seated Taylor's variation here. From your stop sign position, start to tuck your chin, exhale, sink your rib cage in, bring your forearms together, squeeze the tips of your elbows closed. Start to let your tailbone sink under so you're rounding your back. Take a deep breath in and lift the spine upright on this inhale. Open up to your stop signs, hands at face height. Exhale, draw the shoulder blade down your back. As it disappears into the waistline, draw that elbow tip to the waist. Feel that lift of your sternum. Take a deep breath in, return your hands to face height. Exhale, tuck the chin, draw your elbow tips, squeeze them together. Sink the ribs to the hips and tuck the tailbone under for a round back. Take a deep breath in to lift the rib cage upright. As we start to float the sternum, open up the arms wide, hands at face height. Exhale, a stop sign, draw the shoulder blade down your back. As the elbow comes to the waistline, float that sternum. Inhale, bring the hands back to face height. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, tuck the chin, squeeze the elbow tip together. Sink the rib cage towards the hip bones, let the tailbone tuck under. Inhale, lift the spine upright, float the sternum, open up your hands to stop sign. Exhale, switch that stop sign on. Beautiful. Inhale, hands to face height. 1 more. Exhale, tuck the chin, squeeze the elbow tip together, sink the rib cage in, tuck the tailbone. Inhale to lift the rib cage upright, float the sternum, hands open. Exhale, stop sign, switch it on. Now I want you to keep that stop sign on here. Take the arms a little bit wider, keep the shoulders relaxed. Exhale for spine twist. Keep your sit bones on your seat of your chair. And as you rotate, that rotation is under the rib cage. Let your head follow your leading thumb. Inhale back to center. Other side, exhale for spine twist today. Keep that rotation about the pelvis, about the rib cage and not the pelvis. Inhale to center. As you rotate, keep your knees facing forwards. Keep your hip bones settled on the mat, or the chair, I should say. Inhale to center. Good, we're going to exhale for that spine twist. Inhale to center, let's do 1 more each way. Spine twist on the exhale, keep the sit bones, keep the knees and ankles facing forwards. Inhale to center, your last one. Exhale, spine twist. And inhale to center, relax those arms. Beautiful. Now the next exercise is a tricep dip. If this is not for you and you do have arms on your chair, sadly I don't, you could have your hands on the chair, pushing your feet into the mat. We can exhale, we can exhale, utilize T-zone to press and lift your buttocks from the chair, utilizing pressure through your hands into the arms of your chair. Sadly, I don't have any chairs with arms in my house, so I can't demonstrate that for you, but I can demonstrate a little tricep dip variation. So we're working the back of the arm primarily. For my tricep dip variation, if you need a little bit more stability, place your chair once more against a very stable surface, be that a wall, a couch. Make sure that the chair is not going to fling back and you're not going to fall over with it. I want to make sure that I have enough space on my chair edge to position my hands. Now I'm pressing the heel of my palm into my chair. I'm going to lift my buttocks free from the chair here by walking the feet forwards, bringing the hips to float just on the edge of my chair surface. Look at my 90-degree angle from my knee to my hip and ankle. Already this is a lot of upper body work, so if this doesn't work for your wrist, switch this exercise out, you don't need to do it. On a nice deep breath in, I'm going to draw the shoulder blades back and down. I'm going to start to lower the buttocks by bending the elbow back towards the backrest of the chair. Exhale, push, and start to lift the spine back upright. Watch out for saggy spine, keep the shoulders from the earlobes. We're going to inhale to lower today. Bending the elbow back towards the edge of your chair. Exhale, push against the ground through the heels, scoop the belly in, push into your seat to lift. We're going to inhale to lower. It could be small range such as this. Exhale to scoop, push and lift. If you want to work through a small range, you could just lower and lift in a small range as such. A bigger range of motion, we need to watch out that we're comfortable through wrist, shoulder, and we're not over engaging neck. So if you're tensing like so, you need to let go of that pressure. Inhale to lower and exhale to push. Now we're doing a set of 10 to 12. So if you've already done your 10, you can have a little break. The back of your arms should be burning. This is a major tricep strengthener. I'm going to do 2. And 1 more for me here. I'm going to bring my buttocks back onto the chair, release my arms, and if I need a little tricep or shoulder stretch, you can loosen off here. Good work, we're nearly at the end. Now we're going to come into a little bit of a stretch position, so I'm going to reposition my chair to show you. I'm going to stay side on for the moment because I'm going to show you a nice glute stretch. We're going to do your PNF figure 4 glute stretch, but seated today. And once again, my buttocks is on the edge of the chair, my spine is upright, shoulders relaxed, sternum floating. I need to lift 1 foot free from the mat. I'm going to bring this leg to sit, ankle joint just above the kneecap on that quadricep. If that's not comfortable for you, fine, just take a little breather here. Now that I've already started to turn the leg out and I've got this number 4 already in vision, I'm going to start to push this out, turn knee down and away. Since my buttocks is on the chair, I know my hips are staying level and I can get a little bit more work now into this external rotation of your leg at your hip joint. You can hold onto your foot and flex at the ankle joint if you find that this takes a little bit of pressure off the knee, which does take some pressure in this position. So if you want to limit, add some flexion at the ankle that can help your body detract away from that. Push down gently and start to activate that stretch on the side of the hip joint. Just a couple of breaths, that's it for now. If you want to make your stretch larger, all you need to do is lean forwards. Now notice the incline from shoulder to hip here. I'm not rounding the back. If you round the back, you'll take the stretch away from the back of the hamstring and glute. So I want you to keep the back flat. If you want more, simply lean forwards into a hip hinge. So it's not a round back, it's a hip hinge position. Tailbone looks like it's shooting back and down. My shoulders have leaned forwards over my top leg, and I'm still pushing down to that rotated out knee. Take a breath or 2 here, and then we're going to change sides. So lean back, bring your shoulders, your rib cage back over your hips, undo. Let's do the other side. Switched on and lifted, lift your foot from the mat today. Place your ankle on your supporting knee or quadricep. The outturned knee starts to push down and keep our hips settled on the seat of the chair. Simply breathing is all you need to do here, or making your stretch larger. If you need to push into the foot here and flex at the ankle joint, I'll show you from this position. You can flex this foot to take some pressure off the knee. Once again, you need to lean forwards if you want to make your stretch bigger. Your incline is from hip and shoulder. So we're keeping the back flat and we're trying to direct the tailbone down. Leaning forwards might give you a bit more pressure. Keep pushing the knee down. Have a breath or 2 here. Beautiful. Coming out of your stretch, simply lean your chest back over your hips, let go of pushing the knee and undo. Nice. I'm going to come up into standing to do a little quadricep and hip flexor stretch to finish. So standing upright, you can do two things in this position if you need. If you need the assistance of holding on to something, you can use your chair in this position. So you can hold on to the back of the chair and be side on. I don't need the assistance, so I'm going to show you from side profile, but without utilizing. So I'm standing in front of my chair. I've got maybe 1 foot paced in front, just enough for me to bend the knee and place my calf, or my shin, I should say, on the chair leg. Now, if you need more space for the stretch, simply walk yourself a little bit further forwards to place the shin on. Now, I want to make sure I direct my knees and hips facing forwards. I'm going to add a little micro bend through my supporting knee just to take pressure off that joint. I'm going to start to squeeze my buttocks of this leg that's positioned on the seat of my chair, enough for me to tuck the tailbone under and start to stretch the front of the pelvis today. Keep the tailbone tucked, the glute on and squeeze, and you should find you're getting a little hip flexor stretch. Notice that my rib cage is over my pelvis. If I'm rounding my back, I'm detracting. So I want to keep that lift of the sternum throughout. Now, if that's not enough for you, you're like, yeah, I can feel it, but I want a bit more. I want you to try this version instead. Don't do this if you're not comfortable, or if it's too much, angle through your knee. Notice how I've lifted the top section of my foot to rest on the back of my chair here, and I've walked my knee back. So I've now got the foot pushing into the back of the chair and the knee driving down. My hips and knees are facing forwards here, and I'm going to squeeze my buttocks, tucking my tailbone under to give me a bigger stretch of my hip flexor. Breathing in and out here, keep the tailbone tucked, the glutes squeezing, keeping that soft micro bend through your supporting leg. Pushing the leg into the chair and pushing the knee down will give you some activation to get you a deeper stretch. If that's not enough, you're like, yeah, now I can feel it, but I want a bit more. We're going to use more angle. So notice I've walked my knee further back now, and notice that my stability leg is more or less in line with the front leg of the chair. If this is too much pressure on your knee joint, don't do this. But once again, I've minimized the angle from knee, hip, and ankle. Notice my triangle smaller. So this is going to give me more work. Very similar to the magic stretch I do against the wall. Once more, a little soft micro bend through the knee. Squeeze the glute and tuck the tailbone. Make sure that this tuck, where you tuck your hip bone back and down, gives you that nice stretch across the front of the pelvis. If it's not apparent, it's not on. So I want you to squeeze the butt cheek, drive the tailbone back and down, think pelvic curl, push the back of the foot into the chair rest and push the knee down. Hips and knees are facing forwards. You can count a couple of breaths here. If this is enough of a stretch, beautiful. I found that magic center for you here. Have a couple of breaths. To come out of your stretch, just lean your chest forwards, enough for you to let go and let the leg disappear. Now, if you need, obviously repeat that on the other side. If that's your jam, please do so. If none of those stretches work for your quadricep or hip today, you're simply going to use the back of the chair as a little balance rest. Outside leg is the one that we're going to be stretching. So very similar to the warm-up where we did some single leg balance. We're pushing down into the ground through one leg. We're going to lift 1 foot from the mat. This time I'm pushing the heel towards my bum, and I'm going to reach towards this bent leg. Now, if you can only just reach your toes or the front of your foot, fine. But I want you to find a little section that you can hold on to. I want you to think about squeezing your buttocks to once again draw your tailbone back and down. I'll shift to the side to show you. And you're also going to pull your heel towards your buttocks. Now, this has a lot of pressure on the kneecap. So if it doesn't feel good, stop. You don't have to do it. Once again, if you're not tucking your tailbone and your bum is sitting back, you're not stretching the front of the quad. So squeeze the glute of this, your leg that you're trying to stretch. Tuck the tailbone and pull the heel back towards the buttocks. Pushing the hips gently forwards towards the backrest of the chair. And squeeze the glute. Good, take a couple of breaths here. If you'd like, this could be your version of hip flexor and quad stretch. The quad is the front of the thigh, if that's suitable. If you do want to repeat, either of those options I gave you with your calf resting on the seat of the chair, remember that we could start with just the calf resting, and we could do a little tuck of the tailbone and a squeeze of the glute to get this nice hip flexor stretch. A soft bend is always apparent through that supporting leg. Again, that's level 1. Level 2, we could walk ourselves a little bit closer to the chair. We could lift the back of the foot, the top section of the foot, sorry, to rest on the backrest. The knee is pressing down into the seat of the chair. Align your hips and knees facing forwards. Squeeze your glute, tuck your tailbone. Here we have our level 2 of this My Magic Chair hip flexor stretch. That's not enough. Remember, you can always make it larger by walking yourself a little bit closer. Notice that my stability leg is now more or less in line with that chair leg. And I'm lifted a little bit more so now I have a smaller triangle from my hip, my knee, and my ankle joint. This makes it very, very intense. Once again, hips and knees are facing forwards. Squeeze your buttocks, tuck your tailbone. That's our level 3 stretch. Push the back of the foot into the chair rest, push the knee down. Give yourself a couple of breaths in either of those levels, or if you need to repeat, your magic quadricep stretch in standing. Remember that, wrong side. Remember that we want the outside leg to be the one that you're stretching today. Pushing into the backrest of the chair. We're going to lift one foot from the mat, pull the heel towards the glute, sorry. And as we start to pull the heel towards us, squeeze your butt cheek on that our bent leg side, tucking the tailbone under, hips are pressed gently forwards, and that'll give you that quadricep stretch. Once you've done either side here, relax and take a break. We've finished our chair class for today, so take a seat. It was wonderful to have you online, and if you've got anything you would like to work on in the future, you can always give me a message. Thanks for joining me today.